Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we are looking which equations from the system of equation can be estimated by using the OLS. We have looked at the first equations can be estimated by applying the OLS because in the first equation, the variable on the right side of the equations are the exogenous variables, and they are by assumption these variables are uncorrelated with the error terms. So the first equation can be estimated by the OLS. So look at the second equation. In the second equation, there is one of the variable is the stochastic variables, and there it is likely to be correlated with the error term U2. But we have to look at whether it exists. There exists a correlation between Y1 and U2 or not. So look at the contemporaneous assumptions of correlations. Error this Y1. Look at this Y1 depends upon U1. It means this Y1 involves the U1, and this U1 is here and U2 is here. It means U1 and U2 may be correlated. So by assumptions, contemporaneous assumptions, we are saying that U1 and U2 are uncorrelated. It means the U1 here is uncorrelated with U2 this. So by the contemporaneous assumptions, there is no correlation between the Y1 and U2. So when there is no correlation exists between Y1 and U2, so it means the second equation can also be estimated by applying the OLS. On the same lines, in the third equation, you can see that we have Y1 and Y2. These are the two uh, uh, explanatory stochastic explanatory variables, and they are likely to be correlated by y1 is likely to be correlated with error term u3, and y2 is likely to be correlated with error u3. Again, by the application of the contemporaneous zero contemporaneous correlation assumptions, you can see here u1 and u3 is uncorrelated by this assumption. This is u1 and u3, and here is u2 because y2 depends upon u2. Here is u2 and u3 is again by the zero contemporaneous correlation assumptions, they are uncorrelated. So it means this y1 is uncorrelated with u3 and y2 is uncorrelated with u3. It means that the third equation can also be estimated by applying the OLS. So it means all the three equations in a system can be estimated by applying the OLS. This is the story behind all, this is the detail behind all these discussions that we have already told you. Now consider the first equation. It contains only exogenous variables on the right side, and since by assumption they are uncorrelated with the disturbance term, all this we have discussed earlier. So this equation satisfies the critical assumptions of the classical OLS, uncorrelation between the explanatory variables and the stochastic disturbance term. So OLS can be applied straightforwardly to this equation. So look at the second equation. Next, consider the second equation, which contains the endogenous variable y1 as the explanatory variable along with the non-stochastic x1. Now OLS can also be applied to this equation provided y1 and u2 are uncorrelated, and we have proved it. We have shown that y1 and u2 are uncorrelated by the zero contemporaneous correlation assumptions. So is this so? This answer is yes, because y1, u1 which affect y1 is by assumptions uncorrelated with u2. Assumption that we have discussed, that is the zero contemporaneous assumptions. By this assumptions, this u1 and u2 are uncorrelated. So for all practical purposes, y1 is predetermined variable as y2 is concerned, hence one can proceed with OLS estimation of this equation. It means equation 2 and equation 3 can also be estimated by the OLS because y1 are uncorrelated with the error term u2, and y2 and y3, y1 and y2 are uncorrelated with the error term u3 in the equation third. So by the contemporaneous correlation assumptions, so because of these reasons, we can estimate all these equations by OLS. So this is the recursive models in which there is no simultaneity problems, and all the equations can be estimated by applying the OLS. So in the recursive system, OLS can be applied to each equation separately. Actually, we do not have simultaneity equation problem in these situations. From the structure of such system, it is clear that there is no interdependence among the endogenous variables. You can see here y1 affect y2, y1 and y2 affect y3, but y1 is not affected by y2 and y2 is not affected by y3. So it means that there is a one-way simultaneity, there is one-way correlation, there is a one-way, there is not two-way. Y depends upon y2 and y2 depends upon y1. This kind of situation is not existing here. So that's why this is called as look at y1 affect y2, y1 affect y2, but y2 does not affect y1. Look at y1 affect y1. Arrow is from y1 to y2, but no arrow from y2 to y1. It means y is affecting y2, but y2 is not affecting y1. This तरह y1 affecting through this curve y3 and y2 affecting through this y3. It means y1 and y3 are affecting y3, but y3 is not affecting y2 or y3 is not affecting y1. It means that there, in other words, each equation show a unilateral or one-way causal dependence, hence the name causal model. Systematically, we have the figure. Triangular भी से कह सकते हैं कि we look at the coefficient of the your endogenous variables. If you established a matrix from the coefficient of a endogenous variable, you will get a triangular matrix. In the triangular matrix, all the on diagonal elements are 1 and off diagonal, one of the upper off diagonal elements that are 0. So that is a triangle. It looks like a triangle. So that's why it is called a triangular model also. So next is the estimation of an exactly identified equation by the application of IELS. As we have discussed from the first day, that in a system of equations, we cannot estimate any of the equation by applying the OLS. If we estimate any of the equation by applying the OLS, the estimates will be biased, the estimate will be inconsistent. Then how can we, as we have told you earlier, that the estimation technique will be based on the identification issue. If the equation is exactly identified, it will be that equation will be estimated by applying the ILS, and if the equation will be over-identified, this will be estimated by applying the OSLS. So we first look in the given model, the equation of interest is a exact identified. So to estimate an exact identified equation by we apply the indirect least square method. For a just or exact identified structural equation, the method of obtaining the estimates of the structural coefficient from the OLS estimate of the reduced form coefficient is known as the method of indirect least square. Look at, for an exactly identified structural equations, the method of obtaining the estimate of the structural parameter alpha betas, the structural parameters from the OLS estimate of the reduced form coefficient is known as the method of indirect least square. It means the method of obtaining the estimate of the structural parameter from the estimated reduced form coefficient is known as the method of indirect least square, and the estimates that are obtained through this procedure is known as indirect least square estimates. So how can we apply the ILS? There are two steps for the application of ILS. Uh, which are these two steps? The first step is develop or obtain the reduced form equation from the given model, from the given simultaneous equation models. Reduced form. So we first obtain the reduced form equations. These reduced form equations are obtained from the structural equation in such a manner that the dependent variable or the endogenous variables in each equation is the only endogenous variable and is a function solely of the predetermined variable and the stochastic character. This is the definition of reduced form. In the reduced form equation is equation that describes the endogenous variable purely in term of the predetermined variables and the error term. So the first steps that is involved in the application of the ILS is develop or derived a reduced form from the system of equations. So after developing the reduced form, we can apply the OLS to estimate the reduced form, because we can estimate the reduced form equation by applying the OLS. Why we apply the OLS? Because uh, we can estimate the reduced form equation by applying the OLS, because in the reduced form equations, all the variables on the right side of the equation will be or will be predetermined, or they are likely to be uncorrelated with the disturbance term by the OLS assumption. So it means in the reduced form equations, we are not violating any of the assumptions. So when we are not violating any of the classical assumptions, so we can apply the OLS to estimate the reduced form equation. So in the first step, we develop the reduced form, and in the second step, we estimate the reduced form developed in the first step by applying the OLS. And in the third step, or at the third stage, we use these reduced form coefficient to determine the numerical estimates of the structural parameter. And that is the definition of identification. And equation is identified when where the identification mean whether the numerical estimates of the parameter of the structural equations can be obtained from the estimated reduced form coefficient. If it can, the equation is identified, and if it cannot be obtained, the equation is unidentified. So we have first step, we have developed the reduced form. In the second step, we have estimated the reduced form by applying the OLS and the estimate we have obtained are consistent and efficient, because it is meeting all the assumptions of the classical linear regression model. So the estimates are consistent, unbiased, or efficient. It means it is meeting the below properties, that is best, linear, unbiased. So in the third stage, we obtain estimate of the original structural coefficient from the estimated reduced form coefficient obtained in step 2. If an equation is exactly identified, there is 1-to-1 correspondence between the structural parameter and the reduced form coefficient. That is, one can derive a unique estimate of the structural parameter from the reduced form coefficient. So the name ILS derived from the fact that the structural coefficient cannot be determined directly. The structural coefficient are determined indirectly by from the reduced form coefficient. That's why the IL estimates are called as the indirect least square, because these estimates are not determined directly by applying to OLS, but it is determined indirectly by estimating the reduced form first, and then the estimated reduced form coefficient will be used to determine the numerical value of the structural parameters. So the examples of ILS, we have a models, we have the market models, we have one equation of the demand equation, and other equation is the supply equation. And you can see that the first equation, that is the demand equation, that is the undefined, that is the unidentified. It means we cannot estimate the parameter of this equation by any of the method. We cannot estimate any way. We cannot estimate the first equation. It means the second equation is exactly identified, and we can estimate the parameter beta naught, beta 1 of the second equation by using the ILS, indirect least square. So the first step is we develop the reduced form equations from these models. We have two reduced form equations because we have the two endogenous variables P and Q. So the first reduced form is pi naught plus pi 1x, and the second reduced form is pi 2 plus x, pi 3 x3 plus error term. These are the two reduced forms. So you can see that on the right side of the reduced form, there is only one variable x, that is the predetermined variables, and this predetermined variables and the return WP, and the predetermined variables and the return VT in the equation. Second, these are likely to be uncorrelated by the assumptions of classical linear regression model. As they are uncorrelated by the assumption, so we can estimate these two equations by applying the OLS. So by after having the OLS, after applying the OLS, we have the estimated reduced form coefficient. We have pi naught hat, pi 1 hat, pi 2 hat, pi 3 hat. And when we estimate these equations by using the actual data set on prices and the quantity and x, we have the numerical value of pi naught, we have the numerical value of pi 1, we have the numerical value of pi 2, and we have the numerical value of pi 3. So from these are the pi naught, pi 1, pi 2, pi 3 are the estimated reduced form coefficient, and they are shown as pi naught hat, pi 1 hat, pi 2 hat, and pi 3 hat. So by using these estimated reduced form equation, we can estimate the parameter of the structural equation beta naught and beta 1. So if we divide pi 3 over pi 1, and pi 3 hat over pi 1 hat, that is equal to the division of pi 3 by pi 1, it is equal to the beta 1. So in this way, if we from this model, we develop the reduced form, and this reduced form will be estimated by applying the OLS. And when we by applying the OLS, we estimate these So this is the pi 1 hat, that is equal to summation P1 x1, that is a theoretical uh, formulas for pi 1 hat, pi naught, pi 3, and pi 2 hat. But when we estimate the equation by applying the data set, we have the numerical estimate. Rather than we have this one, we have the numerical value of pi 1 hat, we have the numerical value of pi naught, we have the numerical value of pi 3, and we have the numerical value of pi 2 when we estimate the model using the data set. This is the theoretical framework. This is the theoretical, or this is the your formulas for the pi 1, pi naught, pi 1, pi 2, and pi 3. So how can we achieve the structural parameters? These are the structural parameter beta 1. And if we divide pi 3 hat by pi 1 hat, we get the beta 1. And if we subtract pi 2 from the pi 2 hat minus beta 1 pi naught hat, we get the beta naught. So these are the value of the structural parameter that can be achieved by the using the reduced form quotient. These are the reduced form quotient. First, we have obtained the value of these reduced form by estimating the model by OLS, and then these reduced forms are being used to determine the numerical value of beta 1s. So this is the beta 1 hat equal to pi 3 hat over pi 1 hat, and beta naught hat equal to pi 2 hat minus beta naught pi naught hat. So which are the ILS estimates? Note that the parameter of the demand functions cannot be estimated because the demand equation is unidentified, and we cannot we cannot estimate the parameter of unidentified equation by any of the methods. So look at the numerical values. Uh, we have a data set on the prices, we have a data set on the quantity, and by using these the data set on prices, quantity, and the income level that is represented by X, we have the data set on all these three variables. So by using this data set, we have estimated the reduced form equation. So this is the first reduced form equations that PT hat is equal to 7. This is the value of 72.30 is the value of pi naught, and 0.0043 is the value of pi 1 hat. This is pi 1 hat, and this is pi naught hat. And this is 84.07 is pi 2 hat, and 0.0020 is the pi 3 hat. So these are the numerical values of the reduced sum quotient that we have obtained after estimating the reduced sum equation by applying the OLS. And in the previous, these are the reduced form. We have estimated this reduced form by using the data set on prices and XT and quantity and XT. By using this data set, we have estimated these two equations, and the values we have obtained, numerical values. This is the pi naught, this is pi 1, this is pi 2, and this is pi 3. This is the standard error, and if the standard error is minimum, it means the estimator is good. If the standard will be higher, it means the estimator is not a good one. So how precise is the estimate? It depends upon the value of the standard errors. If standard error is low, it means it is a good estimate. And if the standard errors are high, it means the estimates are not good one. So now these are the estimated values. Now by using these estimated values, we can determine the structural parameters. The value we can determine the numerical value of the structural parameters. How can? Look at this one. So divide pi 3 hat over pi 1 hat. What is the pi 3 hat? This is the pi 3 hat. This is pi 3. This is pi 3, this is 0.0020, and 0.0043 is the pi 1. So divided 0.0020 by 0.0043, you can get 0.45066. This is the beta 1, and this value of beta 1 is obtained by using the numerical estimate of the reduced sum coefficient. On the same lines, you can determine the numerical value of beta naught equal to pi 2 hat. This is pi 2 hat minus beta 1 pi naught hat. This is pi 2 hat. This is pi 2 hat 84.07. This is pi 2. Beta 1 is 0.45 multiplied by the pi 1. Pi naught is here is 72.30. Yani 84.07 plus 0.45 multiplied by 72.03, it will give you the value, numerical value of the beta naught hat, and that is equal to 51.05. So in this way, we can determine, you can see that this is not the direct estimates of parameters, it is the indirect estimate of the parameters, because we have obtained the numerical value of the reduced sum coefficient, and then these estimated reduced sum coefficient are used to determine the numerical value of the parameters. So it is the indirect least square. It is the indirect method to obtain the numerical value of the structural parameters. That's why it is called as the indirect least square method, and the estimate obtained are called as the indirect least square estimates. Any questions?
सर जी, हेलो
जी
सर, आज के लिए काफ़ी नहीं है?